This video was made possible by Wix. If you're ready to create a website, head over to wix.com/go/infographics to try out one of their premium plans right now. Humans are the most intelligent species on Earth, even if sometimes we don't behave that way. Yet all of our perceived shortcomings are in fact evolutionary success stories. Our greed ensures that we survive at all costs. In the wild, it's far better to overindulge today when food is available than try to ration or be altruistic and risk famine or disaster tomorrow. Our complete disregard for the environment is likewise the pinnacle of natural evolution. Despite what your hippie best friend may tell you, there's no balance in nature. Balance is achieved only through death. A species will overpopulate and overconsume until resource scarcity forces it into balance by starving most members to death. While we may be nature's greatest success story, we have exacted a terrible price on other animals that share this world with us. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographics Show. Today we're taking a look at the top 10 animals that went extinct because humans suck. Number 10. Quagga. Quaggas were zebra-like animals that stood about 4 to 4 feet 5 inches at the shoulder. It had zebra-like stripes in the front half of its torso, but perplexingly lost those stripes halfway down its body until it ended up in a stripe-free horse-like rear end. Unlike zebras though, the quagga stripes were light on a darker background, though some argue that this was an optical illusion and that the primary colors of the quagga were lighter with a dark stripe. Quaggas had a very limited range even in their prime, sticking to the very southern edges of traditional zebra territory in Africa and mainly living south of the Orange River. Quaggas were observed in herds of 30 to 50, and many accounts say they traveled in a very linear fashion. The name quagga comes from the distinctive sound these animals made as they called out to each other. Ultimately, it was overhunting and competition with domestic cattle that led to the quagga's demise, along with its extremely limited distribution in the wild. Though a captive breeding program attempted to save the species, only a single male was secured with no females, and attempts to breed with a horse resulted in a hybrid that did not bring back the original species. By 1878, the last wild quagga died and the species went extinct. Number 9. Golden toad. Another species vulnerable to extinction, the golden toad, was a small toad that inhabited a small, high-altitude region of 1.5 square miles in Costa Rica. First discovered in 1964, the last sighting of a golden toad occurred on the 15th of May 1989, and since extinction has become the poster child for the amphibian decline crisis. From their first discovery in 1964, population surveys of about 1,500 members were recorded until 1987. Knowing how fragile the toad was and the limited amount of habitable space for this highly specialized species, a reserve of 4 square kilometers was established and eventually expanded to over 105 square kilometers. Conservation efforts proved in vain though, and in 1988 only 10 or 11 toads were observed. The last observed toad was on May 15, 1989, and the species is now extinct. Many blame global warming for its extinction, but the theory has since been disputed and other alternates put forward. 8. Thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger. Due to its geographic isolation, mammals in Australia took a weird evolutionary path after the fall of the dinosaurs, resulting in an explosion of marsupials that are unique to the continent. One of these predatory marsupials was the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, because of its distinctive striping that ran along its back. Once native to Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea, the thylacine was a shy, nocturnal creature that was the size of a medium or large dog. Thanks to human hunting and brush fires, the thylacine had already become extremely rare prior to the arrival of British settlers. An increase in human population starting 4,000 years ago, and the arrival of the dingo, which directly competed for food, saw thylacine numbers plummet. After going extinct on mainland Australia, a surviving population eked out an existence on the island of Tasmania. Yet, falsely portrayed as a threat to livestock, bounties on thylacine heads, including pups, were paid out by local governments, which paid as much as £1 or £100 in today's money per head. Persecuted by hunters and farmers, the last known thylacine killed in the wild was shot in 1930 by farmer Wilf Batty. 7. Megalodapus, or the koala lemur. Megalodapus, or the koala lemur, was one of the 3 extinct species of lemurs that inhabited Madagascar. About 4 to 5 feet in length and 110 pounds in weight, koala lemurs would have been one of the biggest lemurs on the island. Perfectly evolved to live in trees, its body was squat and built more like a modern koala, hence the name. And it had long arms with fingers, feet, and toes specialized for grasping trees. Unlike other lemurs, the koala lemur had curved hands and feet, and its ankles and wrists lacked the stability needed to travel on the ground. Soon after the arrival of humans in Madagascar 2,300 years ago, the island's giant lemur populations went into steep decline. As humans cleared the jungle with controlled burns to make room for farmland, the exposed land turned to grassland, which did not suit the lemurs. This led to a population crash which ended in extinction 500 to 600 years ago. 6. Stellers Sea Cow. From the same family as the dugong, Stellers sea cows were giant ocean-faring mammals that grew to 30 feet in length and weighed up to 10 tons. It fed mainly on kelp and communicated with sighs and snorts. Discovered in 1741, they were named after naturalist George Wilhelm Steller, who observed the mammals while shipwrecked on Bering Island. Like many animals on this list, the sea cow was already vulnerable to extinction, having a highly limited range that covered the Commander Islands in the Bering Sea. Valued for its meat, fat, and hide, the very slow-moving sea cow was hunted to complete extinction 27 years after its discovery. 5. Syrian wild ass. Once ranging across present-day Iraq, Palestine, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Turkey, the Syrian wild ass was the smallest of all equines, reaching only 1 meter at the shoulder. Yet despite its small stature, the Syrian wild ass was completely untamable and compared to thoroughbred horses for its beauty and strength. European travelers during the 15th and 16th centuries reported large herds of the animal, but overhunting started dropping its numbers in the 18th and 19th century. Its numbers were further impacted by the chaos that ensued during World War I, and the last known wild specimen was shot in 1927. 4. Elephant bird. Weighing in at a whopping 1,600 pounds and standing 9.8 feet tall, the elephant bird was one of a family of huge flightless birds that lived on the island of Madagascar. Laying eggs that weighed up to 22 pounds, elephant birds were an impressive specimen indeed, and their eggs would have made for a hell of an omelet. Originally widespread, scientists believe that the arrival of humans led to a decrease in bird populations. Due to its small landmass, one theory known as the Blitzkrieg hypothesis states that humans very quickly overhunted the elephant bird populations in Madagascar. An alternate theory, however, states that it was the transfer of diseases from domesticated birds the humans brought with them, such as chickens, that led to extinction for the elephant birds of isolated Madagascar. In all likelihood, it was a combination of the two, as European explorers reported regularly finding remains of their giant eggshells among native villages, with huge pieces of eggshell at times used as bowls. Overhunted or wiped out by disease, reports on the ultimate extinction date vary, but most believe they were wiped out by 1000 AD. 3. Caucasian Viscent. The Caucasian Viscent was a species of buffalo that roamed the Caucasus Mountains of Eastern Europe. Hunted for centuries, its numbers remained relatively steady until the 17th century, when human settlement in the mountains intensified. By the end of the 19th century, its range had shrunk to a mere 1/10 of its previous habitat. In 1860, its population numbered about 2,000, but by 1917, only 500 to 600 remained. 4 years later, in 1921, its numbers plummeted to just 50. With local poaching of these magnificent beasts, the last 3 Caucasian Viscents were killed in 1927. Descending from a single bull born in 1907 and kept in captivity in Germany, hybrid Viscents survive to this day in low numbers. Yet those hybrids are mostly made up of American bison hybrids, and they are today described as a different subspecies. 2. Caribbean monk seal. The only known seal to inhabit the Caribbean monk seal was a species of monk seal native to the warm waters of the tropical latitudes. They were also some of the largest specimens, reaching sizes of up to 8 feet in length and weighing in between 375 and 600 pounds. Colored brownish or grayish, these monk seals had a lighter underside similar to many sharks today. This helped them avoid being spotted from above or below by prey animals. Their bodies also hosted growths of algae, giving some of them a slightly greenish appearance. The first mention of the Caribbean monk seal comes from the second voyage of Christopher Columbus, when in August 1494 his ship laid anchor off the island of Altavelo, and a party of men went ashore and killed 8 seals they found on land. Records throughout the colonial period make many mention of the docile seals being hunted for meat, and ultimately in the 18th and 19th centuries the seals would be hunted exhaustively for their meat and oil. After a 5-year search, the species was officially declared extinct in 2008. 1. Russian tracker. The Russian Tracker is an extinct breed of dog that was for hundreds of years used to herd cattle and chase off wild wolves. Related to today's yellow Russian retrievers, the Tracker was by all accounts an extremely hardy dog that weighed in at 100 pounds and stood 30 inches at the shoulder. This fierce and stalwart companion was valued for its fearless nature and its ability to chase off wolves and wild bears, keeping its flocks safe. Highly intelligent, legend said that a Tracker could keep itself and its flock alive for months with no human help whatsoever. Unlike the rest of the animals on this list, the Russian Tracker met its extinction via crossbreeding, suffering the same fate as many cat and dog breeds of yesteryear. It's not known exactly when it went extinct, but purebreds could still be found well into the late 1800s. Humanity has extracted a terrible toll on the species of this world, but even though it can be tempting to think we are unnatural freaks and somehow apart from nature, the truth is that we are simply nature at its finest, most successful form. Life routinely overconsumes and edges out lesser-suited competitors into extinction, and the only balance ultimately comes from death. Evolution, it seems, is a force hell-bent on mass murder, giving us all the natural qualities that we have indulged in for thousands of years that have made us the most successful and the most terrible of species. Yet ultimately, it's on us to use the one gift evolution gave us to put an end to the cycle of death. Because unlike any other species to have ever walked the face of this earth, we alone can look back on the trail of corpses left in our wake and feel remorse. Only we alone can overcome nature and paradoxically protect her, or we can choose not to. Nature doesn't care either way, and long after we've destroyed the world and ourselves, she'll pick up the pieces and start again, exactly as she has many times before. Tragically, humans have driven many animals to extinction, but one thing we would be happy to see go extinct is terrible websites. Luckily, Wix is here to help you make a great-looking site that won't have visitors begging for extinction. With fully customizable templates and robust design tools, Wix is perfect whether you're an amateur or a pro. And if you're really in over your head, Wix's ADI can build an amazing personalized website just by answering a few simple questions. Go to wix.com/go/infographics or just click the link in the description below and get started today. Which of these extinct animals would you like to have seen? If humanity could bring one of these animals back Jurassic Park style, which would you choose and why? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video, How Many Lions Would It Take to Kill a T-Rex? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time on the Infographics Show.